I just got paid $2,200 as the E5 in the Army. Let me show you exactly how I'm going to be budgeting this check to cover bills, to pay off debt, and to keep a peace of mind over the next 2 weeks.
All right. So I'm going to break this down into regular people terms. Now, for those of y'all who don't know, I did about 10 years in the military, active duty, and I've been the same rank as she is at one point in time in my life, and she is a sergeant. That is what an E5 is in the Army. Now, active duty gets paid on the 1st and the 15th, unless you go to S1, if you know, and you go there and you ask them, hey, just pay me once a month on the 1st. That's what I did because I like to budget my stuff all at once. Just a little game for all my active duty folks out there.
Not gonna lie, y'all, I was a little skeptical about making this video at first, but I love watching videos like this, so I'm gonna be completely transparent with y'all whenever I break this down. First things first, I know some of y'all are wondering how I get paid, all the incentives that the military offers. So I get paid my base pay, my BAH, and my BAS, which my BAH covers my housing, my BAS covers my food.
A lot of people have no clue how it works when you're in the military. I joined the military when I was 18. I didn't have no house. I didn't have none of that. And it provided me an opportunity to travel all around the world. Like, I've been everywhere. And the military paid for me to be in these locations. Some locations I wanted to be in, and honestly, some locations I wish I never went to, but it just was what it was. Now, I want to keep breaking this down so y'all can understand this in regular people terms. Now, BAH is your housing. Just because you're in the military doesn't mean that you're going to get BAH. Now, who qualifies for BAH then? People who are married or people who have children that they have to take care of. Why? Because those people can't live in the barracks. And the barracks is just a bunch of buildings used to house soldiers on post. And though you will likely have your own room in the barracks, it's also not uncommon to have roommates when you live in the barracks. Many times you share a common area such as a bathroom and a kitchen, and I've even been stationed in places where you have to share a kitchen with everybody in that building. It really just depends on the duty station. Everybody else not getting BAH is in the barracks. And you can even be married in the barracks in a lot of situations. That's called being a GO bachelor. And that's if you don't have your spouse with you. Sometimes in some duty stations, you will still be in the barracks. And I mean this for the rank of private first class to E6, which is a staff sergeant. Some ranks, you just never going to see them living in the barracks. That is going to be E7 and above. So officers, warrant officers, they don't live in the barracks, no matter if they're married or not. Now, generally in the military, when you hit the rank of E6, they will pay for your housing whether you're married or not. So that's anything staff sergeant and above. Now, when it comes to the BAS, aka the food, if you live in the barracks, they're not going to be able to give you that BAS unless you have something like a real special circumstance, which most people don't. You will be being fed at the DFACT. In civilian terms, this is essentially a cafeteria where other soldiers or government employees are cooking up your food.
Don't have to worry about paying my rent because it automatically gets drafted out of my account before I even get any paychecks. So the money that I get is what's left over after they pay my rent.
Now, I want to touch on that. They'll still give you your BAS, which is your food, because you're going to get that regardless if you're married or if you're E6 and above. So I'm going to assume either she's married or she has children. But if you live off post, especially in the States, because I know it's a little bit different in Europe because I've been stationed over in Germany too. But when you're in the States, you can go out in the market and find a house that you want to rent. Now, just because you're getting BAH doesn't mean that you have to use the whole thing. Like if they give you the BAH, say it's $1,600 that they're going to give you for BAH. You can go out and find somewhere that's $1,200 and rent that place. And whatever is extra or left over, you get to keep that.
I live in government housing. That's how it's so easy. I get paid on the 15th and the end of every month. So whatever the last day of the month is, that's the day I'm going to get paid on. But with my checking account, I get paid like a week prior. My check was $2,200, okay? I transferred $150 immediately to my savings account. Then I transferred $940 to my other bank account, which was for half of my car note and half of my deductible. Then I transferred $240 to a different account. So I have 3 accounts, y'all. Technically 4. Out of that $240, $100 of it is going towards Ashley Furniture. $83.66 is going towards Klarna. And then the rest of it is like for subscriptions that may automatically come out of that account.
Look, the Klarna gets me every time, y'all. But I know some people are using it responsibly, so I'm not gonna make no assumptions. But you know me and Klarna, we got a history.
Then I paid $150 towards my credit card, and then I paid $110 towards this loan. Then I paid $109 to a loan, which is a bigger loan that I won't be paying off right now. And then I paid directly to Klarna $279.51, which left me with $228 in my checkings account to last me for 2 weeks. If y'all have any advice on how to pay off debt faster or just any tips that y'all want to give me, drop them too, because I truly appreciate y'all.
Okay, it's my time to shine, I see. I found out about something when I was active duty called the Service Members Civil Relief Act. And this act provides legal and financial protections to those who have answered the nation's call to serve. And it goes on to state who it applies to, but this isn't even the best part, y'all. Stay with me. Y'all, it says here, protection number 1 is reducing the interest rate on any pre-service loans to a maximum of 6%. If you took out an automobile, home, or student loan or incurred credit card debt prior to becoming a service member, or if you took out such a loan jointly with your spouse, then you are entitled to have your interest rate reduced to a maximum of 6% per year. To receive this benefit, you must notify your lender in writing and include a copy of your orders to active duty service or a letter from your commanding officer that shows the date you began active duty service. And it goes on to state that the rate of reduction for pre-service obligations applies during the period of active duty service for most loans and mortgages for an additional year after the end of active duty service. So if you have a 25% interest rate on your credit cards or on your automobile, it's going down to 6. Now, somebody here says, y'all so worried about her having only $228 left over when you missed the whole concept of this video. All her bills are paid. My mom always said, and still says to this day, I'd rather be low or broke knowing that all of my bills are paid. I'm not gonna lie, $228 does seem a little tight, but we don't know her situation. We don't know exactly what's going on. But I will say it wouldn't seem like that isn't a lot left over if she actually just got paid once a month and then she showed the whole budget, because she has the option to do that. Girl, hit up S1. Hit up S1. That's my advice. That's what I told all my soldiers to do, especially the ones that were horrible with money. And there was a whole lot of them. Somebody said, when you say government housing, is that like living on base? Yes, that is living on base. And what's getting me is the next question that says, okay, 2 more questions. What's your MOS and how much is your rent? And she is a 42 Alpha. Y'all, a 42 Alpha is human resources. They are the S1 that I'm talking about. So she works in the department that handles all the paperwork to where she can get paid on the first. Girl, what? So she ain't got no reason why that paperwork can't be processed fast if she wants to do that. Like, she's in the perfect position. Human resources is a good job too. And then she's paying $1,000 a month for rent. And then somebody else said, how is your food covered? Is it automatically deducted? And she says she pays on her credit card. Okay, I mean, that's one way to do it. I mean, as long as you pay your credit card off. Again, they give you an allowance with your paycheck for food. So all of that money is just one lump sum. Now, if you go out and blow it, that's on you. They're not giving you no more. And somebody here says she's paying all her bills with one check and still has a second check coming in, which is absolutely true. And she ended up hearting that comment. Any tips on buying a car? Oh, Lord. Okay. Best offers or companies. And I know they wasn't asking me, but I feel like as somebody who did a decade in the military, I can definitely speak towards this. One of the things I wish I didn't do when I got to my first duty station was get a car. I know. It wasn't like the worst financial decision I've ever made in my life, because honestly, it wasn't a bad car. This was back in 2012. I had a window where you had to crank it up manually, and I was so cheap that I didn't want to pay $50 more for a car where I had the automatic windows. And I know what you're thinking, Symone, $50 really? Yeah, it was hard times back then. I was broke. I didn't have it like that. But the reason I'm saying I wish that I didn't buy the car is because when I got to my first duty station as a E3, aka a PFC private first class, when I got there, I didn't live that far from where I worked. I probably could have walked there. Also, I had a boss, aka a NCO, that didn't mind bringing me to work. And I know this because they were picking up my roommate from work. So I just feel like it was unnecessary. But being that I was like, oh, I'm going to be there. I'm going to be working. I need my freedom. You know, I'm grown. I need to get a car. And I didn't really understand the layout of the base and how close I was going to be working and living. They were right next to each other because I lived in the barracks. I wasn't married. Now, later on in my career, I did get married. And in that case, it made a lot of sense to have my own car because I would be living off post. But when I was living on post, not married, Single, I feel like having a car was unnecessary and I could have saved so much money. When I look back, I think I could have just got those paychecks, saved up all that money and just stacked it up and paid cash for a car. But instead, I did what most people do. And for what? Mind you, I had no cosigner on my car, no credit, and I believe that my interest rate was like a 16 or 18%. They was doing me in, and I had people that was way older than me in my family telling me that that was actually a good interest rate. And I don't know if they really meant that or if they were just trying to gaslight me because I didn't know and they didn't want to cosign, but I'm gonna leave it in the past. Now, don't get me wrong. It was definitely nice to have my own freedom when I wasn't at work to go places and to do things, but I definitely could have held it down for a year and just bought that car cash. And this is also a great comment. Somebody here says, make sure you invest in a Roth account through TSP. And that is exactly what I was about to get on. This was actually my introduction to any sort of investing, period. I didn't know anything about investing like that except what I learned in high school before I joined the military. And when you're in the military, you take a lot of financial classes. Now, a lot of people ain't paying attention in the financial classes, but these were one of my favorite classes to listen in on. When you're in the military, you get so much training and free resources. And a lot of the free resources and training you get, you just be like, oh, I don't even want it all because it's like death by PowerPoint. You be tired of hearing it. Never get tired of the financial stuff. Never. And not only was I investing in my Roth account, I also was getting a match. I think anybody that's active duty that is able to max it out absolutely should max it out every year. I max mine out every year I could. And y'all, that money doesn't go away just because you're not active duty anymore. I'm not in the military anymore, and I still have that same money that I was investing in my teen years, and I'm like 32 now. I am still able to look at it and see all of the hard work that I put in there, and I was able to keep the match. Definitely an interesting video because I think a lot of people do want to have a little bit more insight on the military. I know I like to make jokes like saying, if you want to fight, join the military, but I'll be being serious sometimes. But y'all comment down below, do y'all think that this is a good budget? Like, what do you think? And we have to keep in mind, this is only what she is making in her first paycheck. She's going to get paid again on the 15th. So per month, she's bringing in about $4,400 or something like that. And another thing I want to point out is the $940 is half for her car note and half her insurance deductible. And it's like, man, one of the biggest things that I've known to do a lot of people's paychecks in when they are active duty is their cars. They go out and they get these fancy cars and they be broke every month. And I'm not saying that's her, but that's a lot of people. And if they didn't have the car notes, they could have a lot more money saved or for leisure activities, but it'd be going to the car. And it's no different than most people in the civilian world. The same thing. It goes to a car. And funny enough, today is the Army's birthday. It is June 13th, and this is the 250th anniversary. Tell me what you think about all this down below. Would you join the military? Have you joined the military? Have you ever been in the military? And tell me, is it worth joining to pay off your debt? What did you think about her budget? Do you think she was spending too much? And if you have any recommendations, comment down below. Let me know any strategies that you've used if you were active duty or just in your civilian life to help you budget better. But we have to start making better decisions today in order to have a better future.